Hello and thanks for joining us. I'm Nick Petrillo. Welcome to your Courier News Election Coverage 2018 3 p.m. Roundup. Sheriff John Zaruba is retiring after 21 years as DuPage County Sheriff. Now 2 candidates are duking it out in an intense race to be the next DuPage County Sheriff.
For the first time in 20 years, DuPage County gets to vote for a new sheriff as current Sheriff John Zaruba retires. 2 candidates, James Mendrick and Greg Whalen, are fighting for their seat in this year's election.
Well, I think I bring a lot of ideas, and I have a lot of support. Having the support and relationships with a lot of people also helps you with your solutions. I have solutions I think that are pretty comprehensive about school violence, the opioid crisis, and many other factors that I've learned over 22 years in my job.
I decided to run mainly because I felt that I had some qualities that I could bring to the table. I'm multidiscipline trained, which means I'm a police officer, firefighter, and a paramedic. And taking all those opportunities that I have in training and experience, I felt that I'd be able to work with other departments and other communities to build a stronger department.
James Mendrick has been working at the DuPage County Sheriff's Office for 22 years, while Greg Whalen, a resident of DuPage with a background in law enforcement, is still hoping to make a better change.
Trying to make sure that we build strong relationships, we build trust within our communities. I think it's extremely important that our kids know who our police officers are growing up.
Each candidate shares their platform on why they should have your vote for sheriff.
And I think the reason that I have all these endorsements is because I'm a good communicator. Communication is the key to everything. We can't solve our problems without being good communicators, working with local government, working with the county board, working with the citizens, the other deputies. Everything is about how you talk to people. Everything in life and every problem solved is going to be revolved around how we maintain our relationships.
And we need the public's help, so we have to develop that trust. We need to develop that partnership so that we can work together and have a safer community.
Joining us in the studio to discuss all of today's election news is Adjunct Professor Bill Enright of the Political Science Department. So Bill, what do we need to know about the 2 people running for the sheriff's race?
Yeah, well, Mendrick has been a sheriff for 20 years himself, and so he's well-known, well-liked in the sheriff's department, has the support of the rest of the sheriffs, the deputies, and so certainly he's looking good as a candidate. And then Whalen just has this sort of grassroots support coming out because the Democrats seem to be getting a lot more momentum out here in DuPage County. But otherwise, I think that Mendrick's sort of like battle tested from his primary race against Bibiano and seems to have a pretty good ground game going. And so I think he's probably going to do pretty well in this.
All right, so he's likely the favorite then.
Yeah, right.
Okay, because I had actually heard that Whalen isn't even a member of the sheriff's force.
Yeah, right.
Although that's not a requirement.
Yeah, right.
That was something that many officers noted to me when we were doing our last primary show.
Yeah, right. And so if you're not a sheriff, and then you're certainly not going to get the support of the rest of the sheriffs. And of course, if he is elected, then he will be the sheriff, and they will report to him. But otherwise, normally, as far as that department goes, they'd like to have one of their own.
All right. A tight race is brewing in the 6th Congressional District. Sarah Vasek reports on the local race that has national implications.
All 435 seats in the U.S. House of Representatives are up for election this year, one of them belonging to Illinois' 6th Congressional District, covering parts of DuPage, Cook, Lake, Kane, and McHenry counties. Up for re-election is the 6-time seat holder, Republican Peter Roskam. Roskam is being challenged by Democratic Energy Executive Sean Casten.
For Peter Roskam, one of the biggest issues is taxes. He was one of the authors and architects who helped write the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that passed late last year, and he believes that has brought a lot of benefit to the district.
Go out and talk to the folks that I did in Downers Grove, who are a manufacturing facility, and they said, but for the tax changes, they would not have bought a $4 million piece of equipment.
As someone who's worked in the clean energy industry in the past, Sean Casten says that global warming is the biggest existential challenge facing us as a nation and a world.
I spent the last 16 years running companies that built over 80 clean power projects that reduced CO2, lowered energy costs, created jobs, and proved that if you're smart about it and problem focused, There is no trade-off between your morals and your wallet.
Peter Roscom, the incumbent Republican, has a lot of experience and a lot of name recognition in the district. Democrat Sean Casten could be part of a blue wave in the face of a Republican government led by President Trump.
As we draw closer to the midterm of one of the most controversial presidencies in American history, this congressional race between an experienced incumbent and an innovative challenger is hard to predict.
Polling groups and political watchers are saying this is going to be a very close race.
Now, Bill, what are some important issues being discussed in this year's election for the 6th Congressional District?
Yeah, well, we can go back to like some of the things that had been passed earlier in the year, like the tax cuts, and some of the Democrats like Casten are saying maybe we didn't need to have such a large corporate tax cut from 35% to 21%. Casten's also big on environmental issues, and he wants to try to promote more environmentally friendly types of things, including wind and solar energy, and so those are certainly a couple of things that separate them. Roscom did come out and say that he had supported Kavanaugh, and Casten came out and said that he did not support Kavanaugh, and certainly that was a lightning rod issue this fall. And so on the political spectrum, certainly they're divergent in a lot of different areas.
But the fact that this is even a competitive race kind of says something about this year, do you think?
Yeah, I'll tell you, in the numbers I keep hearing about are the professional women suburban voters, and that they're upset about something in politics. Certainly it seems to be over Trump, and that they're unsatisfied with what Trump's been doing with the country and some of his rhetoric, and that's going to be falling back on some of these local congressional races. And this one's really a key, because if Roscom loses this one, easily the Democrats could take control of the House of Representatives.
What do you think the chances are for that happening?
Yeah, I think it's probably 50-50. I would say the polls show it's so close, and certainly there's been a lot of money spent on both sides, and there's been a lot of national money coming into this race, because not only do the Democrats desperately want to take this seat, but the Republicans desperately want to keep this seat so they don't lose control of the House of Representatives.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of the ads myself. Every time I'm in the gym, it's like I'm seeing Casten and Roscom nonstop.
Yeah, it looks like you've been working out.
The polls are still open. There's still plenty of time to make your vote count. To find out your polling place, visit DuPageCO.org. This has been your 3 p.m. election update. Thank you for choosing Courier TV News for your election coverage this afternoon. And again, Bill and I will be back at 7 p.m. with more updates, including candidates' reaction and analysis. We'll also have live reactions to the local elections on our Facebook page at Courier TV.